My third deployment had taken more from me than I realized. Not just sweat, not just sleep, not just months under a burning sun or the deafening silence that followed gunfire, but something deeper. This time, it was the distance between what I left behind and what I thought would still be waiting when I returned. It was missing home so fiercely that every letter from my wife, every blurry photo of our dog curled up on the couch, every delayed, "I love you" text became more than comfort. They became oxygen. Hope. The kind of fragile hope that gets you through the longest nights. I clung to it like it was the only real thing I had left. For 9 months, I was gone. No leaves. No surprise homecomings. Just video calls that froze mid-smile and care packages that arrived weeks too late. Still, her words were always the same. "I'm proud of you. I'm here. Just come home safe." And I believed her. When I finally landed back on U.S. soil, I didn't go home to my apartment. I didn't want rest. I wanted her. I wanted to see her face when I knocked on the door unannounced. I had my buddy drop me straight at her place. I was still in uniform, covered in dust, and hadn't slept in over 48 hours, but none of that mattered. I was finally home, but the apartment felt wrong. The key still worked. The door still creaked the way it always had, but the space inside had changed. It wasn't cold or empty. No, it was too clean, like someone had walked through it with a checklist and removed everything that made it feel like ours. Half her closet was gone. The framed photo of us from our wedding, the one she said always made her feel grounded, was missing from the hallway wall. Her perfume didn't linger in the air, just this quiet, sterile emptiness. I stood in the doorway for a long time, duffel bag still slung over my shoulder, boots caked in foreign soil. I hadn't even sat down when my phone buzzed. "We need to talk tomorrow. I've already filed." At first, I couldn't make sense of it. Filed what? Then the second message arrived. "I've met someone better. It's over. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." I walked out without saying a word. The street outside hadn't changed. The neighborhood still smelled like cut grass and old pine. Our name was still printed on the mailbox. But everything else, everything I thought I was coming home to, was gone. That night, I slept in my car. Not because I didn't have a place to go, but because I didn't recognize my life anymore. I didn't know who I was coming home to, or if I'd ever had her at all. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse the same way I'd walked into missions overseas. Calm on the surface, storm underneath. She was already there, dressed like it was just another appointment. Her hair curled the way she always did when she wanted to impress. And beside her sat a man I'd never seen before. Tall, clean, confident in a way that made me ache. He didn't flinch when he saw me. Didn't even pretend to feel awkward. She barely met my eyes. When the judge asked if either of us had anything to say, I hesitated. My mouth was full of words I knew wouldn't change anything. But silence felt like surrender. She stood first. "I respect what he's done for this country." "I do," she said. "But we've grown apart. We're different people now. That's all." No emotion. No acknowledgement of the nights I sat in a bunker, wondering if I'd ever see her again. No mention of the miscarried child we'd grieved in each other's arms. Just distance. Just detachment. Just a dress the same color as her eyes, and a smile for the man sitting beside her. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Parker?" I nodded. Then I spoke. I went away to serve. I began, my voice steady. And every single day, I thought about home, about her, about the life we built. I came back expecting to find it waiting for me. But I guess I was the only one still showing up to that version of us. She shifted slightly. Her new man leaned back, awkward now. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "Not for someone who already made a choice before I even stepped off that plane." The courtroom was silent, and in that stillness, something inside me settled. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even heartbroken in the way I thought I'd be. I was just done. The judge signed the papers. Divorce finalized. 2 words, and 6 years were gone. She didn't say goodbye. Didn't even glance back as she walked out with the man who had taken my place while I was overseas. And I sat there, not because I didn't know how to move, but because I needed a moment to mourn a future that no longer existed. I didn't rush to build a new life. I didn't leap into distractions. I rented a quiet apartment near a park. Something small, something still. I bought secondhand furniture, a mattress that didn't squeak, no wedding photos, no reminders, just a kitchen light that hummed softly when it flicked on in silence. So much silence it almost swallowed me whole. At first, that silence hurt. Every creak in the floorboards sounded like a memory. Every empty space felt haunted by her laugh, her scent, her toothbrush that no longer sat next to mine. I would catch myself turning toward the door, expecting her to walk in. But slowly, painfully, the silence began to change. It became less of an echo and more of a breath, a pause between chapters. I started cooking, not well, but enough. I took the dog for long walks through quiet trails where no one knew my name. I began writing little lists of things I was grateful for. Hot showers, good coffee, mornings that didn't start with dread. They weren't big things, but they were mine. Then, 2 months later, her name lit up my screen. I just wanted you to know I think about you sometimes. I hope you're okay. No apology, no explanation. Just a single sentence that hung in the air like fog. I stared at it for a long time, and then I deleted it, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but because some things break quietly and they stay broken, not out of cruelty, but out of truth. She had moved on long before I ever made it back. And now, finally, so had I. One morning, I stood by the window with a cup of black coffee and watched the sun rise over a street full of strangers. I didn't feel bitter. I didn't feel empty. I just felt present, alive. I had survived 3 deployments, but it was the 4th battle, the one I never saw coming, that taught me the most. That love should never be begged for. That trust, once broken, is more valuable than any apology. That the quietest exits leave the loudest echoes. And that sometimes the real victory isn't in reclaiming what was lost, but in finally letting go of the war you didn't start. This isn't a story about revenge, or redemption, or some perfect second chance. It's a story about a man who came home expecting love, and instead found himself.